Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'll be showing you how to create a download button, and that download button should also have a timer. Okay, so all these things we need to do it with the help of the JavaScript. Okay, so let me first of all show you how that download button will look and what kind of timer it will run. Okay, so let me open the file. Okay, now if you see over here, there is a download file option coming up. Okay, now when I click on download file option, the timer will start. Your download will begin in 7 seconds, so it's a 10 seconds timer. Okay, so as soon as this gets completed, the link which you will be, or the download whatever file you will have, it will get, it will open up. So this was the file which was there and it got opened up. Okay, so similar kind of thing how you can create, I'll show you. Okay, like the download file, and how you can implement this particular download file further in your websites or in your portfolio or anywhere. Okay, so how you can do it with the help of the JavaScript, let's see it and let's get started. So first of all, we need to create the HTML for the the template of that particular download file, right? The button and everything. So let's start with the doc type HTML. So next comes up the HTML link. Okay, and let me give some title. So let's say the title is download button with, or download file button with timer. Okay, this is what the title would be. Okay, next we can go for like the font, which kind of the font you want to select. You can go for that. So for that, let's take link. Okay, and wherein I'll take the Poppins font. That is why I'm using the Poppin font. You can use any other font you wish. Okay, so here we will go up with the Poppin fonts. Okay, so that's the fonts Google API for the Poppin font. Okay, now next thing what we can do is we can go ahead and add the CSS and JavaScript, right? These two things we need to have, so we need to add those things. So for them, let's say we write the scripting over here. So script, and here we can write the source, and later on we can mention the file name of our JavaScript over here. Okay, right now I'm keeping it as blank. Next we can also add the CSS file, so let's add the CSS over here. Okay, and same, I'll keep it as blank so that later on in our program we can add it over here, the CSS as well. Okay, now next inside the body what we want to do is we want to create the button, right? The download button we need to create. So for that, let's take the button tag. So I'll take the button tag, and inside the button tag, let's take the class as download button. So we can write download btn. Okay, and there should also be a timer, right? So for the timer, what we can do, we can just write here, like we want a 10-second timer, so I'll write data timer, and it should be equal to 10 seconds. You can increase the time according to your choice. Okay, next what we need to add is we need to also add the uh, like after the download button you should get the timer. So where should you get the timer? You should get underneath the download button, right? So for that, what we can do, we can add a span, and inside the span, so inside the span we can just add like class, and inside the class icon, okay, and okay, and it's how it should be. The it should be like vertical span, like underneath vertical alignment, okay, like underneath the download button. So I'll write vertical, just to make the things clear, okay. And next also, what should we want? We also want a download file, right? There is a button underneath which download file should be written there, right? So for that, what we can do, we can create another span, and here we can write like class, and then inside the class you can write it, it's in a form of a text, and here download file, okay. Okay, now here these inside the body, if you see what will happen, the first line, this one, this will create basically a button, a download button will be created, okay, something like this, fine. The next line of code, which is this one, this will help you to create a vertical alignment, like which arrow which will show like towards the button, okay, or whatever class you have given inside it, this will come right over here, like a circle, inside that arrow is there. And then the next line of code, the span tag, this will help you to write download files inside it, okay. So basically these three stuffs are being done with the HTML, okay. Rest, styling and the scripting part will be done in the CSS and JavaScript, okay. So let's go off and save this file, and let's try to see how it looks like, okay. So let me open it up. Okay, this is the file. Now when I open it up, if you see, this is like vertical alignment bottom download file, right? This particular, let me, okay. This is the file, how it is looking like, right? Now we want to do the CSS for this particular thing, okay. And then only like putting an arrow and everything to the download file section, and then after that the timer coming up, each and everything, okay. So let's do that. So for that, let's go over here again. Okay, let me, fine. Now this arrow come up, right? Because what we did over here, there was a hyphen which should not be there, so icon, material, symbols, and then routed. So accordingly, any kind of sign which you want to give into the download files, you can give it right over here. So right now, if you see what we have got a download file button, and then it has a download arrow, and then which is pointing vertically downwards, okay. Now next we have to do the CSS for this. So how will you do the CSS? So first thing is, we have to make this particular button functional, right? So that thing can be done in the JavaScript, but CSS means styling. So we want to, first of all, this particular button, we want to make it give some style, like the color, the padding, the height, width, and everything we want to set it up, okay. And similarly we want to do it for the timer as well, right? So let's go on with the CSS now, fine. So let's start off first of all with the font import. I'll start off again, I'm using Poppins, you can use any other font. So just for the purpose of viewers, I'm just writing import Google font, okay. And the font which I'm taking is Poppins, okay. So how will I take that font? So you can write import URL, and you can mention the link over here, like your font link you can mention. So as I'm taking the Poppin font, so I'll just mention this over here. Okay, that's my link for the Poppins. Fine. Now next comes up the styling part. So we will first of all come on to some margin and some font, some sizing, some padding, each and everything you have to give it inside the CSS. So I'll take margin as 0. I'll give some padding, so, and I'll also give some border to the box, that is the download file. So I'll give it as like border box. Okay, and next, since I am using Poppins font, so I'll write in the font family Poppins and sans serif. Okay, so here we can write and sans serif. Okay, now this is done. Next we move on to the body part. Okay, so CSS for or styling for the body. Okay, so now the display should be in a form of a flex, that means it should be in a vertical form. Okay, next what else we can add? So after that we can also add the height of that particular download button, the alignment of the download button, like right now if you see the download button, this is there at the left hand corner. Okay, I want to bring it in the center, so for that we want to do the alignment as well. So those stuffs you need to put it inside the body part. So let's say I write minimum height, I use as 100 VH, and let's say I take the alignment items to center. Okay, and I'll also justify the contents to center. And next thing, now I want to give some background, so let's take the blue color. So here I'll give it as, okay, now this is display. Fine. Now these things are done for the body part. So what we can do in order to see it, like how it actually looks right now, so I'll just save this, and right over here in the HTML we can add the CSS one, right? So right here we can add down.css. Okay, now let's see how it is looking, and then we'll move on further with the CSS. Okay, so I'll just refresh this one. So now when I refresh it, if you see, the background is blue, right? And this particular download file, this is now aligned at the center. Okay, now if I just decrease the size, if you see, this will look something like this, right? So these things are now done. Okay, next CSS, what we have to do is, now the body part is done, we have justified it to center. Now we have to work on the download button, right? Like giving some outline to the download button, the border, color, what color it should be, everything. So let's say we write download btn. Now make sure whatever you have used inside the HTML, that only use in your CSS. Okay, so I have used over here download btn, same thing I have to use it over here. So here inside the download btn, I want to give some outline, so I'll take the outline, and I don't want this, and color I can take this. Again, you can change it according to your need or requirement, or any other color if you wish. Okay, and there should be a cursor which should be like in a form of a pointer, like when we point a cursor towards the download button, it should work, right? It should be a clickable one. Now how to make it clickable, you can do it that in the JavaScript. Okay, now here it should have some background color as well. Okay, things, okay, color we have already given. Now the download button should also have some padding, right? So I'll give the padding, let's say 1625. Now again, you can change these according to your need. Okay, now Let me set off some radius. Now when these are done, let's quickly go ahead and save this, and I'll refresh it off again, and let's see the changes. Okay, now when you see the changes, when I hover on this, the color changes, right? So I want this color to be blue when I hover it. So let's add those CSS right over here. So for that, what we have to do is, like, we have to give some background when we hover to it. So let's say I write download btn and hover. Okay, and inside hover I'll write background, and let's give some color to it. Okay, so let me give, okay, now let's save it and let's see now. Let me refresh it again. Okay, now when I hover it, this comes like this. Okay, now we need to set some, so it should be, I may be missing the numbers. Now let's see again. Okay, okay, now let's go ahead and do some CSS for the timer. Okay, so I'll write button and then timer. Okay, and for the timer I will set the color. Let's say the color is, okay, set some background. So let's take the font size as 1.6 rem. Okay, again you can change it according to your choice. Okay, and the pointer events here, I'll set this to as none. Okay, next after this, let me give some download button timer. Okay, and okay, so let me change this because this particular line and this line will be then same. So here, and I'll just give some color to it and some padding to it for the timer. So let's say I give the color as and some padding. So I give the padding as, let's say, 0 and 8 pixels. Okay, fine. Now let's move on with the button icon. So let's give some CSS to that. So download button and then icon. Okay, so here we can just give some font size, and after that the text which is there inside the download button, for that also you need to give some CSS. So I'll write text. Okay, so that means the download files which is written there, for that we are doing the CSS. So I'll write 1.5 and let's say we take the padding left as 10. Okay, fine. Now the CSS is being done. Okay, and let's see now the changes. So let's save this file, and now we go again here, and now when I refresh this, now if you see, now this is being styled. The download file, the color is changed, it has a background now. Okay, and like when we hover it, the light, the color changes to a little bit dim color, right? And then there is an arrow, everything is there. Now if I click on this, it's not functional, right? Nothing will happen, right? So for that, what we need to do is we need to go on with the JavaScript now. Okay, so another file name, which is for me it's down.js. Okay, so another file we need to create, wherein now we will add the JavaScript over here, which will make our download file functional. Okay, so for that, let's first of all take a variable. Let's say I write it as download btn. Okay, for button, right? And how will I get the download btn from the HTML? So for that, you can write document.query selector so that it selects the download button from HTML element. Okay, and inside this we can just write the CSS name, that is download btn. Okay, this is done. Now next is I want to give the file link. Okay, so let's take the variable as file link. Okay, and over here you can just mention the link of the file, or whatever file you want to be downloaded. You can just mention it over here and it will get downloaded. Okay, so let me take my drive or my doc links, which is basically for the course which Code Magnet is providing for beginners for HTML and CSS and JavaScript. So that particular link I have used here. So when I click on download button, this particular link should get downloaded and open up. Okay, so since it's a doc file for Google, okay, so it will directly open up this particular link when I click on download button. Okay, so when I click on download button, there will be a timer running up. Once the timer completes, this particular file will directly open up. Now this particular file, you can replace it with your own link. Okay, you can replace it with your own link. Any file you wish, you can replace it over there. Okay, next, what's the next job? The next job is for setting up the timer. Okay, so for that, let's take up another variable. So I take as initiate the timer. So init timer. Okay, and inside this, what do we write? We write like when the timer is over. That means like when the 10 seconds are over, the timer should disable and the file should be downloaded, right? So for that, we give a if condition wherein we write download btn dot class list, okay, dot contains, and here we write disable. Okay, so what does this particular if condition will do? So this particular if condition will check if the download btn class list contains, that means my, when I click on download button, the timer is now, 10 seconds are over. At that point of time, it will disable the timer and it will download the file, whatever is there, right? So here we'll just write, if this condition satisfies, then return the location of the href or the file link which we have given. Okay, so we can write over here file link, right? So when this condition satisfies, that means the timer will disable and whatever location of the file link you have given, that location it will return. Okay, that means it will actually return you the file after getting downloaded. Okay, that's the one if condition. Fine. Next, what we have to do is we have to also, set the timer, like what should the timer, the message should come up like, your download will happen in such time and all those things. So for that, let the timer be equal to download btn dot dataset timer. Okay, and the download btn dot class list, add what we need to add. We need to add the timer. Okay, so here we will add time. Fine, this is done. Now next is we need to add the HTML like for the timer. That means your time will begin in 10 seconds, or your download will begin in 10 seconds, something like this. So for that, what we can do, we can just write download button dot inner HTML. Okay, and we can write over here something like your download will begin in, and here for the inner HTML we can just write the timer variable. We can take it over here, right? So here timer. Fine, and then we can close this off. Okay, and here we can write this. So what will happen over here, now we can change this to this so that it gets functional. Now what will happen over here, so inside the download button in your HTML, like when you click on download button, this particular message will come up like your download will begin in, and then the timer, whatever timer we have set it up. So how much timer we have set up, so we have taken the data timer as 10, that means 10 seconds timer will start. So it will show in the screen your download will begin in 10 seconds. Okay, now if we just go ahead, so next thing what we want to do is we also want to set up the interval for the timer, right? Like after the 10 seconds, it's the 10 should go to 9, then 8, then 7. So that interval we also have to set. So for that we can just use a counter so that it gets decrease. So a decreasing counter, so we can write here counter, and then we can write set interval. Okay, and inside this we can mention the if condition, like if timer is greater than 0, then timer minus minus. Okay, that means we want to run it backwards, right? So I can write timer minus minus, right? That means 10, 9, 8, 7, this should be done. And what it should return, it should return like the download btn dot inner HTML, and inside this we can write your download okay. So let me do something. I'll just copy this off and I'll just paste it over here to make things easier. Okay, and we have missed some semicolon, so I'll add that semicolon over here. Okay, now let's move to the next line. So here this is the semicolon. Fine, so here in the next line, okay, now after it has returned, so what we can do is, like, we can come out of this particular and we can just write clear interval. Now since we have done this, so we can just write the counter number over here. Okay, so once we write this, what happens, so now the counter has started and it has from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So once the counter is completed, what should happen, it should give the location of the file, right? The file link. So I can write location href and then file link over here. That's it. Okay, and here you can mention like an HTML wherein you can write a text. Let's say I write in a text something like your file is downloading. Okay, this we write. Now once this is done, we can just start the set out timer. Like once a timer is out, then you can, download again option should come up. Okay, and after this is done, we can add the click event. That means this event needs to be added. Why? Because when you click on the download file, then only the timer should start, right? So for that, what we can write a listener over here, okay, who will listen. Like when there is a click, then only you can initiate the timer. Okay, now this is all done. The JavaScript and everything is done. Now we can save this off and we can go back to the HTML and we can include our JavaScript over here in the source. So file name is down.js. Okay, let's save this and let's now see if it's fully functional or not. Now let's refresh it. Now if you see over here, we have the download file button. Okay, and when I now click on download file, it should download my file. So okay, still it doesn't work. Let's go back and check off right here in the JavaScript. Okay, now over here rest all look good. Okay, now over here if you see, we have only added the listener, so we should write the download btn dot add event listener, okay, which we missed. So now when we save it and let's open it. Okay, now we click on download file. Okay, still something. Now let's check back. So this looks good. Okay, so these all looks good. The CSS also looks. Let's check the HTML. Okay, JS. Okay, sure, we have to write therefore. Okay, now let's save it and check it off if it's working or not. So here, let's refresh. Now let's click on download. Yeah, now it's working. So if you see, your download will begin in 7 seconds. 6, 5, 4, 3. So it should open up the link which I gave. 1, 0. Okay, now if your file is downloading, now see, this is the file which got downloaded. You can open this file and then see it. Okay, so that's how the whole download button will work with the help of the JavaScript, HTML, CSS. Okay.